Hi, welcome back. Welcome if you're new here. My name is Zoe and I run a small business called Resewn Textiles. My friend Osha wants me to make her a few items and I'm really excited because it's my first proper order. She wants me to make 3 scrunchies for her. They're all gifts for her partners or her friends. And I'm really excited to make these because scrunchies are something that I'm going to be putting on the store, so they'll be good practice. And she also would like a custom hoop cover. This is something that I've never done before. It's for hula hoops and she's going to wear it over her shoulder just to keep the hoops dry when she's carrying them between places. She's amazing with her hula hoops. And I'm going to ask her if she can send me a video to pop in here so you can see. But I'm really excited to get started on this. It's going to be a very unique project and my first upcycling order, so let's go. So I received an order from my friend Osha for 3 scrunchies and a bag to hold her hula hoops. So I'm going to use some materials that I already own for this. For the scrunchies, the first one is going to be made out of a dress that I got from a clothes swap. So this, well, actually might be a jumpsuit actually, looking at the legs. So this is a gorgeous, gorgeous flowery fabric and we're going to use this to make one scrunchie. We're then going to use this bee fabric here that I got at a craft swap, and that's going to be another scrunchie. And finally this fabric here, which is another bee themed one but with little hives and flowers, and that's going to be a 3rd scrunchie. For the hula hoop bag, we're going for a patchwork style. So it will be patchwork of plain and patterned fabrics that she's picked out from my stash. So they all got to be slightly stretchy, so they stretch around the hoop. So I've got this one here with the little foxes on it. It's so cute. Can you see those? Got that one, and then we've got some more floral patterns like this gorgeous green. You see that's lovely and slinky and very stretchy. And then we've got, this used to be a dress that I cut up that I had in my wardrobe. Obviously it's being repurposed here. So we've got the nice floral white and blue. And then this t-shirt that I picked up from a charity shop. It's also floral but more green. I really like this one. And then we've got more plain colours to match those patterns that we can put in between. So here's some nice stretchy green leggings that we can use. I've got some old kind of like auburn type colour, like a rust colour. There's not as much of this one, so there'll be smaller patches. And then we've got some nice stretchy blue and some really nice pink. And she particularly liked this colour, so this will be in there quite a bit. And it needs to have a handle across the top. So I have an old cushion that's like a pink waffly texture and it's really soft. I will still put some padding in the shoulder area, but I'm going to unpick this cushion cover so it's one longer piece of fabric and then hopefully we'll have enough to go over the shoulder. I think I will. I'm going to give it a bit of a wash first because I think there's a makeup stain on the front which hopefully will come out in the wash. And yeah, we're going to use that as the straps and as a Velcro section to keep the hoops in properly. So we've got the designs for Osha's scrunchies and bag here. So this is the first one with the nice bee pattern and florals. So it's going to be a medium-sized scrunchie. And then we have the other one with the bigger bees and hexagons. That's also going to be a medium-sized scrunchie. And then this one with the floral flowers. Again, another medium-sized scrunchie. And then we've got the actual hoop cover. So this this bit in the middle here is going to be elastic. So this bit around here. So all around the middle, this is going to be where it's elasticated to pull it in together. And then we've got the strap around the top and then the Velcro tie so you can keep the hoops together. The elastic should keep most of it together. This is only so as a just in case because smaller hoops might not squeeze in as much. This is just to keep loads of hoops in together. We've got different patterns here, so I've tried to alternate it between plain and patterned fabric. We worked together on this, trying to pull out different colours that were similar, that were in the different fabrics. The colours haven't shown up very well from being photographed because this is the green trouser and this is the blue. But this is the concept that we're going for. Obviously the final thing would look a bit different with the sizes of the patches and the strap might look a bit different. just finished the 3 scrunchies for Osha and I'm really proud of them. I think they turned out really well and really cute. So we had the one with the bees with the little hives on there, and I really like that. Like the texture of the material is really good and it's like scrunched up quite well. Then we have the one with the hexagons and the little bees as well. That one's really nice. But this one's my favourite. It's so soft and it's light, and I would wear something like this. This was taken out of that jumpsuit and I think it's just perfect for a scrunchie. And you can see they've all got my little label on them as well. And these arrived today as well. It was all brilliant timing. Yeah, really proud of these and I hope that she likes them. I know they were gifts for people. So yeah, I'm really proud of these. So as you've just seen, I finished the hoop cover. It turned out to be quite an interesting make. It's obviously very unique. It's not something I've made before or one might not make again. It's very like specific to what my friend needed. And when we made that design, as you remember from the beginning of the video, it was very much that style where it's elasticated to keep it tight around the hoops. So as I was working, I don't have a hula hoop to test it out with. So it's very much like, this looks like it will work, but obviously I won't be able to tell completely until we've got her hoops round and we can put them in and see what it looks like. At the moment, it looks a little bit like a floppy piece of fabric, but hopefully it looks very pretty and I'm hoping she'll like it. I followed the design, looking at each of the bits we put next to each other, building it up as I went. I had all the different scraps that she'd picked out. They were deliberately stretchy fabrics, just so different hoop sizes we could fit into the hoop cover easily. So I went through and I cut out. And I didn't really plan how much to cut. I just kind of, I knew what width I wanted, which again, I just kind of guessed because the materials are stretchy. I don't think it really matters just how wide. I obviously wanted to be wide enough that it would cover the hoops, but hula hoops aren't very big anyway. I took one piece of scrap that I knew was one of my smaller pieces, and that happened to be 39 centimeters tall. So I used that as a basis and cut every scrap that same height but varying width. She said she liked the fact that things weren't symmetrical and they were all different sizes. So I just went for randomly cutting out different widths of the fabrics for all the different patterns that she picked out, making sure to follow the design that I'd made with we wanted like plain colours next to patterns. So you didn't have two patterns next to each other. And I just went through and cut loads of strips out of the different fabrics and then started to piece them together. Because they're stretchy materials, I use the overlocker. So that I find that's easier when you've got things that stretch. Using the overlocker helps to keep things stretchy. And I know you don't really need to finish the edges on knit fabrics because they don't fray and they just kind of curl a little bit, but using an overlocker also finishes the edges, so I think that's fine. And I just went through and just pieced each bit together, and I know the diameter of her biggest hoop, which was 29 inches, so I used that to figure out what the circumference of the hoop would be. And then I used that to figure out how long this strip of patched fabric should be. And so I just kept patching until I got to the right length. And I did end up making it slightly too long and then had to cut some bits out of the strips, but that's fine because I had some quite wide strips of different colours and I just cut them down to the right size. I only needed to cut out about 30 centimetres, so it wasn't too bad. And then after I'd cut it to the right length, I also had to make it into a tube. So I made it into that tube shape, and at that point I accidentally got it the wrong way around. So instead of being like a normal like cylinder, I'd somehow, when I pieced the two bits of fabric together, twisted it the wrong way, so it had a twist in the bottom. And I didn't film that because it was quite late at night when I realised, and I went back and quickly unpicked everything and then put it back together to be a nice cylinder. But that was fine. It was only a quick fix to just unpick and redo the stitching that I'd done. And then I also finished the edges, because when I added the elastic, I need to make a channel around the edge. So I didn't want to do like a double tucked kind of hem situation, because with knit fabric and stretchy fabric, that's really annoying. So I just went and overlocked the entire edge, folded it over once, made sure it was big enough for the elastic, and just sewed that instead. But the actual elastic, I went for just like 1 centimetre thick elastic. It doesn't need to be big. It's just to keep things tight so that the hoops stay in. And you don't really even need the elastic, but I think it looks prettier with the elastic. To figure out how much I needed, I got out my trusty metre-long ruler, and I just like stretched some elastic on here and saw like what was its original length and how far did it stretch to know how stretchy my elastic was. Obviously I want it to be that when it's fully stretched out, it's the same as the circumference of the circle, so that you can stretch it out to its full width, fit the hoop in, and then it collapses back in and keeps everything tight. And I realised that this elastic stretches to about 2.5 times its original size. That helped me to figure out the length of elastic I needed to put into the sides of the cylinder, and obviously then fed it through the channels that I'd made. I decided not to do the elastic straight away. I created the channels, made everything ready. But I knew that we wanted a handle to put over your shoulder for the bag. If you remember from the design, there was this handle on top, and the bag might hold several hoops, so I added this Velcro strap to keep everything in place in case some of the smaller hoops were going to be used in there. That just made sure they didn't fall out, because obviously the bigger hoop is going to stretch the hoop cover, but the smaller ones, I didn't want them potentially falling out. And then I decided as I was sewing that there was probably a smarter way to do that than having one big strap and then the Velcro bit. I decided to make a strap where it's difficult to show you now, I put the elastic in, but you see the strap here. So I measured out a length of strap, and it's with this an old pillowcase that I used for the strap. It's a nice like waffle texture, and it's got its own, like, it's quite padded because of the thickness of the fabric. But what I did was I used that as the strap, and I measured, whether that fits over the shoulder properly. And you can see it goes over the hoop cover, and let me just undo. So that's it with the Velcro undone. My idea was, so these two longer bits on the strap, you can see there's the opening for the hoop cover. So these longer bits here, they come round, and there's Velcro on that side, and that does up there. And obviously that will then keep anything from falling out. But then I didn't want it to be lopsided, so I added to the other side some more Velcro here. So this strap is actually attached to both sides of the hoop cover. So one's attached this side and one's sewn in on the other side, just to keep things balanced on the bag. And then those two, the way it loops around at the bottom means that the hoops hopefully won't fall out. So that was the idea. I had some Velcro left over anyway. So the only thing that I found was one side of my Velcro was just standard Velcro. That's sewed in really easily. But the other side was actually, it had a sticky back to it. And I stuck that down, but then I decided, I should probably sew it in to make sure, in case the stickiness ever wears off. And then I didn't realise, as I was sewing through the Velcro, my needle was obviously going through the sticky back, and it got stickier and stickier. And I didn't film that process because it took a while, and my machine complained quite a few times. As the needle got stickier, things got harder to sew, and my machine, the thread kept getting stuck and it wasn't going through. So I did manage to sew it down, but I don't think I'll sew that sticky elastic ever again. Just because I fear for my machine complaining at me. But I did go back through, and I'm not using that needle anymore because it's too sticky now. But I did go through and clean out my machine and give it a good oil and make sure everything was smooth again afterwards. So luckily it's okay, I think. So I decided to do the straps first before putting the elastic on, because as you can see, it's a little bit, with the elastic being in the bottom, bit trickier to maneuver. So when it didn't have the elastic, it was easier to pin and figure out where things were going, and to sew it down in a straight line. So I did that. And then the final thing to do was to add that elastic in all around the edge on both sides. Obviously I'd left a little hole in one end so I could slot the elastic in, put it round, and yeah, then it created this nice circular shape. So if I just try and show you, so this is what it looks like without a hoop in it. Hopefully you can sort of see the idea with the circle, and then if I put it on my shoulder, you can see here what the idea is, that when there's a hoop in there it will stretch out to be a proper circle, and obviously it will stretch out quite a lot because I used, it's for a 29-inch hoop, so it should stretch out quite a lot and be quite a big hoop. And obviously I did it as quite a short strap so that it doesn't hit the floor when it's got a big hoop in it, but also because of the Velcro, if there was lots of hoops that you wanted to store in here and there wasn't maybe not enough room, or you wanted a slightly smaller hoop and this was in the way, you can have it a bit lower and a bit looser because of the Velcro. Sorry, that was probably quite loud. It's right next to the microphone. So because yeah, you can adjust the Velcro then, and then hopefully that gives a little bit of extra space. So yeah, that was the final hoop cover, and I'm hoping that we can get some nice shots and some nice pictures in here when Osha comes around to collect it. I can put the hoop in and show you it, like how it's actually going to look with hoops in it. So that'll be nice. I think this actually turned out really pretty. I really like the choice of the fabrics that we chose. Like you can see the nice pink next to the flowers, and then the red that brings out the red in the flowers. And then I put that next to this nice white, because then you got the contrast, but they had green flowers. And these are really cute little foxes on this one, obviously next to the blue, and then these have blue flowers, and then the pink. So yeah, when we were designing this, she picked out all these colours that she really liked. You see what we were going for, but I actually think that's turned out to be really pretty and obviously very unique. Yeah, I think this worked really well. I put my label on the strap, so it's not too in your face, but obviously I didn't want to put the label on anything that's going to stretch. So the strap's obviously not going to stretch. So put the label on here, but then she can wear it this way without label showing if she wanted. That's totally fine. It was quite a fun project. It took a little bit longer than I was expecting just because of all the piecing together of the different fabrics, and you can sort of see on the inside how I've pieced it together with the overlocking for every piece. But it's not too bad on the inside either. Not that you'd see that because you'd only see the outside and the hoops we placed on the inside. So yeah, hopefully she likes it and it fits all the hoops that she needs it to. I did measure it to the biggest one, so I'm excited to see what it looks like with hoops inside it. Yeah, I think it's going to look really nice. That was all I had for this project. This was obviously a very unique and very fun upcycling project. Some of these materials, like this one here, this was actually a dress that I had in my wardrobe, and I have a photo somewhere of me wearing it at work. I didn't like it anymore, but I liked how stretchy and how pretty the fabric was, so I cut it up and put it in my box, and that's what she's picked out. This one I got from like a craft swap at sewing camp, so everyone could put their materials on a table and you could take any fabrics that you wanted. So this came from the swaps table at sewing camp, and it's a very nice soft stretchy blue. This little fox kind of fabric I got from our local scrap store when they had a sale. This pink I also got from the scrap store. It was something that I'm planning to make my own t-shirt out of, or maybe even some underwear, because it's that nice stretchy material. Green was a pair of leggings that I got from a clothes swap, that they just didn't fit me and they had a hole in, so that's a really nice pretty green. The flowers here is actually a t-shirt that I got from a charity shop. I really liked the green on the t-shirt, so that was a t-shirt. This red was left over from when I made a pair of trousers, so I didn't have much of this left. This was the one that was the limiting factor because I didn't have too much of it. And then this was also a t-shirt, this green flowery one that I got from a charity shop, but it's super stretchy, and I actually used it to make myself a headband. So I had loads of that left over. Oh, and obviously the strap was the old pillowcase that I mentioned. So everything has its own story, and it's a very unique piece of work. So I like the fact that everything has its own story. I think that's the beauty behind it. And then when anybody asks like, oh, where did you get that hoop cover from? That's amazing. Then Osha can tell people that how it was made and where the materials came from and the stories that they had. And I think there's something really beautiful about that. Thank you for watching, and if you made it this far, if you could pop in the comments let's go for the circle emoji because it looks like a hoop, right? If you could pop that in the comments, that would be amazing. And I really hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave me a thumbs up and consider subscribing, and also hyping this video so that it reaches more people. It doesn't cost anything to do, but it really does help me out and helps me to be seen by more people. Thank you very much, and I will see you in the next one.